It's the only way to look at it. Otherwise you'll just feel shitty about everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's it. Otherwise, like I've been like slow to follow up because I'm really starting to feel like frazzled and like in what I'm calling the Christmas crunch. So, and like just there's been a lot of like last minute client requests and emails, and like yesterday, like 5 phone calls got added, and I've been up really late trying to stay caught up so I can have a lighter week next week. But I am hoping this afternoon I can get some time to just wish everyone who came a happy holidays and thank you and float the package. And then I'll follow up with them again shortly after the new year.
So so you're going to do a brief follow-up and with the intention of getting them on a call at the beginning of the year? Can you just ask for the call now? Like get it on the books?
That's what I'm going to do. Like I'll have my calendar invite and say, hey, get it on for January. But I'm assuming a lot of people are they're checking out, and there's going to need to be some like follow-up in early January.
Great. And something just kind of popped in my mind that I wanted to share. Alyssa shared with Tazima and I that she had a moment where she put on her Tazima suit, and she was in an uncomfortable situation, and she just spoke like she thought Tazima would speak. Do you remember what she said?
She was saying that so there was a person who made what she actually considered an unreasonable ask to like wait 7 minutes before you leave this party so it doesn't look like we're leaving together or whatever. And Alyssa was like, I'm gonna go ahead and leave because that's what I want to do right now. And I was like, yeah, no, I'd totally say something like that.
Yeah, and but she put it so funny. I hope she joins. She said she was on a hot streak and she'll join us as soon as she can. But it was just, I think it was one of those moments that I kind of always look for in my cohorts is how much are you learning from each other, and how is that empowering you during your day-to-day. And so that was just one of those electric moments where I was like, it's working. All right, Emilio.
So good.
Hey, I'm looking to keep the momentum going. So, with today being the 21st, which by the way, the days start getting longer very soon. With the winter solstice today, but with people out and so forth and so on, I am one of the things I recognize about myself is that I tend to go in extremes at times. If I'm not careful, I get really focused and I'll go down an extreme and then ignore other things. So as opposed to just checking out for the holidays over the next 3 weeks, like most people that I would speak to in business are checking out at least for a couple of weeks. I'm going to just kind of keep the steady flow of things going. That means I can't necessarily do cold outreach, or it'd be probably not the best use of my time trying to get a hold of people right now. So I'm working on internal stuff, things that I can do where there's not an opportunity cost to be in front of a customer, or contacting a customer. So stuff like social media, building up posts so I can release them in a timely basis later, and a couple other things. Point is, I recognize that I can be mercurial with things that I do. So recognizing and owning that, I'm looking to just every day do a little bit of everything and stay the course, and that's where I'm at. My skipping trip, I have a skip and trip every day, but I can't really think of one right now that's like worth talking about, or not worth talking about. I mean, they're all, I just can't think of one right now that's like really obvious. Um, but give me a minute. I'm sure I'll come up with one.
So as you were planning out like where you're going to go and what makes sense, what things are you implementing? What are you going to do?
Yeah, so I'm writing scripts for short, like like short minute or so videos to kind of like how-tos for the concept being photography tips for the marketing professional. So basically how-tos are heads up to marketing professionals regarding photography, how to do some themselves when they don't have a budget or it's worthwhile hiring someone for, or at least in their mind. I'm going to explore thought leadership, having a discussion with Maria about thought leadership, or explore possible avenues for that, and work on a blog page and content, social media content and content and overall. So it's a lot there. It's a lot there, but one of the things that's really helped me kind of turn things around is to chunk it down. So I decide I'm going to do this project, whatever that project is. So let's say, shoot 26 video, 26, 30, 45-second videos or something. So that's not the project. The project is write the script, then pick a time to do it, then do like one a week or two or three or five in a day, and then just bank them, that kind of thing. And so it's just a matter of going and every day scheduling a little bit of each project that I want to do, and that's really helped me a lot. And some people say you have more control of your day. Control is like something that I don't think anybody has, but I have more organization to my day, so I can hit things a little bit better. And obviously things get derailed because things come up, but that's okay. You just I know where I left off and go back at it. So I'm looking to keep a steady pace so that the momentum is still strong. But I plan on taking some time of taking a couple good art house films on the Criterion Channel and stuff. You can't run and gun all the time, so
Absolutely.
try and respect it.
Absolutely. And this is, we're coming up to the last sales class of the year. And this is really the time where we want to be looking at what worked, what didn't, what do I want more of, less of, or differently in this next year. And guys, this is really when it pays to do the work, to do that homework, to have something to go back and look at so that you can make qualified decisions about where you're going with the business as opposed to hunt and stab. And so I really encourage you, as we have this lull, to take a look at those things and see what you really want. And then let's make that plan. And by the way, for those of you that are journaling, if you are not getting the kind of data that you think you should be seeing in that monthly planner, please let me know. Sometimes if we move around a row or a cell, it breaks the formulas. And for Nicole, I went through her journal and straightened some things out. And now she can see how many leads she needs to talk to and start to see where those things are coming from. So please don't hesitate to reach out for that kind of stuff. If the tool's not working, talk to the mechanic. Do mechanics fix tools? Call me. All right. Just call me. I'm going to ask a favor. can everybody just kind of take a look at their sales or their sales journal if you've been keeping it? And I want to talk a little bit about numbers today. So if you can kind of see, what sales have been, and then we can look at it a little year over year. I'm not expecting exact numbers, but we've got a little more time in debrief today, and I would love to have that conversation. Golden Boy, will you go next?
Oh, wow. Sure. Not a lot of sales stuff has been happening, honestly, because in all the contacts that I'm having emails with and texting and such, they're all pretty much everybody is checked out as of yesterday. I'm officially the office is officially closed yesterday. So I've already told some of my clients that as they are closed, I am going to be closed. So there's not a lot of expectations, but at the beginning of the month, was it at the beginning of the month or the second week of the month? I set up for the first time ever client holiday packages. And I was stressing out because I wanted to make sure they all arrived Wednesday of last week, max Thursday. And some of them, because especially the corporate ones, and especially here in Chicago, people are not in the offices now Mondays and Fridays. They're only doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then they're working from home Mondays and Fridays. So here I am texting everybody going, so I've got a surprise for you on its way, but it's not arriving until Friday. So I hope someone's around to pick it up or be there when it's delivered. And I, paid extra for it to be delivered on a Thursday versus on a Friday. And, but so far, everybody that has received it, they have responded in a very positive way. And I also sent and this is the first, I've been thinking I need to do this to my clients, especially, when they spend $20,000, $30,000, a simple little gift basket that's $100 is a nice little way to remind them, hey, I'm a person you like. And you want to continue to do business with me. And so this was the first year that I intentionally made sure I did it. We've gotten lots of positive feedback from it, especially those that work from home, because I hey, give me your address, holidays, and pawned it off on it's just going to be a card, and gave them their own special basket. And one person, she texted me and said, this really made me feel special, because one of the things I just had a conversation with my husband this morning is I miss being in the office for the holiday treats, and you made me feel really special. So I did it. I got lots of positive feedback, and I think that it's going to continue to solidify some of the relationships that I've had with our clients this year. The hardest part was, what the fuck? It's supposed to arrive on Wednesday and now it's arriving on Saturday? What the hell? And then I just looked, because I'm thinking there's a lot of things that have happened in the last week that just seems like Mercury is retrograde. And sure enough, it went retrograde on the 13th. It doesn't come back until the 1st. So
Fantastic.
I'm personally don't have a lot of downtime now because of this special project for my husband. But I think that it's going to make a huge impression for his group. And also he's seeing and valuing more and more of what I have to go through with my clients, because I told him the first time that we had a conversation about it, I said, I'm going to treat you just like I do any of my clients. And here is your Google Drive. Here is your responsibilities. You need to put a script together. And he said, wow, this is harder than I thought. And I said, okay. So there is value in what I do. So yeah. I think that's a lot of, and we've been also doing a lot of personal planning, because My nephew is going with us next week to Disney World. He's never been to Disney or Universal, and we're gonna have to be there when the rope drops the first thing in the morning, and we're gonna have to be there until the sun goes down. And I mean, the great thing about being an annual pass holder is we go when we want to, and now we're gonna have to do it through the eyes of a 16-year-old, and go here, go here, go here, go here. So yeah, I'm prepping my foot. My foot is already angry at me.
Okay. I'm sorry about your angry foot. I don't know if I've ever had angry foot disease before.
It's the foot, the bad foot, the one that I had surgery on in 2021 that has actually turned into a worse problem than it was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It hurts. It hurts whenever it rains, which it's starting to hurt because it's going to rain for the next 24 hours. You know, it's the things that getting old.
Yeah. And so as you're looking back on the year, not that you've got much time to be reflective right now, what would you say the biggest shift has been for you in the past year?
Oh, I've said it multiple times in multiple places, especially in here, it's been my mental shift of, at the beginning of the year, I didn't think that we were going to survive. And, I still get at the end of the year a little on the squirrel with my nuts going, wait, there's not enough nuts in my nest here. What's going on? Why are we low? And it's just, I think it's also just what's been happening with our business as we get everything up until December, and then December kind of becomes really, really slow. But we still did things to keep our name out there. I am hearing more and more of people saying, gosh, yeah, I've heard about Pond Ripple. That's you. And so it's all these little things that we've been, not little things, but all these things that we've been doing in order to make sure that people keep us top of mind, even though some of it's volunteer and some of it's free. It's paying out in that people are recognizing us more.
That's huge. And what has your sales growth been
this year?
Yeah.
I have not done, I've been terrible. I have not been keeping the tabs that I needed to be doing, but we are implementing Coffee CRM so that this becomes easier and I don't have to go into my bank account and go, okay, how much income did I actually have this year based upon my statements? So yeah, I think that one of the things that is going to make 2024 even better is the fact that we're putting in more of this stuff that we should have. I was blocking myself from doing in 2023.
And what do you want to see more of, less of, or differently in your business next year?
More work, obviously. Less of me having to do the work. Because this was really the first year that we started having more and more use of 1099 employees or 1099 contractors. There was a lot of frustration this year for it because people were not not operating at the expectations that I would have for myself in doing a project. So it's also realizing that not everyone has the same capabilities, nor do they have the same passion for what I do, nor do they understand my thought process. So it's definitely for 2024 is getting more into actually getting our processes established and in a written form so that we can make this easier for me, because I can't produce 350 to 500 videos a year by myself.
Yeah. And what is that shift going to do for you?
Ask the question again.
What-
A little more detailed.
When you have that structure and that team where you know you can take on more work with less effort, what's the expectation that that's going to do for you, either spiritually, mentally, or financially? What's the goal?
It's going to get us closer to the actual goal of being a full service video production company that actually has employees, because that's always been my goal, I don't want people to look at me as just a videographer. I don't want people to look at us as Ponderable Media as being just a freelancer, because that annoys the fuck out of me. So, moving closer and closer to that part where it is a corporation, it is a company, but yet we still have that small feel in that all of our clients feel like they are special to us and not like the other larger organizations where they feel like just a number. One of the things that I have seen in talking to people, especially because they're tired of working with the large companies like Encore or these other organizations that are video production companies, not just AVs, is that lack of personalization. And so keeping that personalization, but yet at the same time continuing to grow, because the goal still is to be 7 figures well, now I guess we're at 12 months, 12 to 16. I think originally it was 18 to 24. So 7 figures in. Oh, that seems a little heavy. Shit.
So that's where I want you to, if you're doing any kind of spiritual work over the next couple of weeks, that's where I want you to focus. I want you to take away the heaviness from 7 figures. They're just numbers. They're just numbers. Yeah, it's going to change your life. Yeah, it's going to make you more money. Yeah, it's going to provide you with more resources. It's just numbers. You can get there.
I think one of my overwhelmings right now is we've been wanting to get out of this office space for a while now, and it just doesn't look like it's going to happen this year still, because I don't think that it's not aligning. Everything I'm seeing out there within a possible bump of what we're currently paying is not the right fit.
Mhm.
It's either too dark or it's a storefront, and I don't want a storefront. I need something that has light, because I've been in the basement before, and and then it's got to happen before April 1st, and I'm like, girl, January's already gone.
All right. Who has their numbers ready next? Who's ready for who wants to debrief this next? Oh, remember when I told you guys to fall in love with your numbers? To know,
I have my journal up.
yeah, hit us.
What do you want me to set? Like how many leads I need,
If
or
if you look in the chat, I've got the 3 questions. What's changed for you this year? What
okay.
sales growth or movement have you seen, and what do you want more of, less of, or differently in your business next year?
Okay, so I'm trying to connect this all to my journal. I think the shift that has happened is it's been really sucky, but just the slow decline from January 2023 until now because of scope creep it sucked, and there's been medical issues with the gamut with my husband. And I'm feeling like things are lighter, and I feel like I have more direction and a plan on how to grow my business. And the journal, I still feel like the journal, there needs to be more time to enter more activity to get more accurate numbers. But that is super helpful. I definitely, now that things have filled in, like I don't know if I can get 390 dials in per month. I'm hoping I don't even know if like I have the network to do that, but
So what
it's
is
something
what-
to strive for.
well, so what does that tell you? If you can't do that many calls a month, what do you need to shift?
If I can't do that many,
Mhm.
like sales activities or
Yeah, like what is the solve for that? If it's too much outreach for too little time, what needs to change?
well, I'm hoping as I do more executive roundtables, like that'll help things and I won't have to do as many sales calls. And as I find, like I've identified some more networking groups and in-person events that I think might be more effective. And like, that's what I was saying is I'm hoping as I'm able to fill things in and things grow, like that's going to go decrease that number so that I don't have to spend that much time like emailing people. And I do think once I can get some like automated flows going more consistently, like that'll help too. And then I also didn't realize that like follows up, like you make your initial dial and if they don't respond, like follow up 2 more times also counts. So that also helps the plan. So I think that's and I think this fall with it being slower, like with what Dallas said, like I really like working on my business. Like as things grow, if I get like more things like social media posts, I really want to bring in, like what Dallas said, like make it a small business, like a corporation, not just some freelancer. And I'm trying to carry myself that way, but that I really don't want to be bogged down with that, even if I have to make like a sacrifice financially in the short term. So
Yeah, I love that. And I like, I want to bring us to a close so that I can move on to the next person. But really what this is allowing you to do is it's allowing you to troubleshoot your sales process. Are you getting enough calls on the books? If you're not getting enough calls on the books, how do you need to enhance your outreach? If you're getting that first appointment but not getting the second, where do I need to change that to increase the efficacy of those efforts?
yes.
Right. And so like that's the kind of troubleshooting that I want you guys to kind of pull through for yourselves. All right, Tazima, can you go next?
Yeah. Let's see. Hold on. Questions. What's changed this year? One is my sales conversations. I have, in general, increased the efficacy of my sales conversations. I have a better idea of how to talk about my offerings and go for those compelling reasons, so that it makes it less of a, oh, this is a luxury item, or versus like, I need this to move forward in my life. So it's a very different, I'm having different kind of sales conversations. I think my outreach has increased significantly. I've kind of tossed in some numbers for to look at this. I haven't finished all my numbers, of course, but I would say anytime I do significant networking, like if I do more than just like my basic networking, so I'm talking like five or more networking events per month, those are the months where I get more sales, like in those weeks following those. So for the new year, one thing I really want to do is make sure I'm prioritizing networking and time blocking more, because right now I'm sort of chasing the chasing the goal of like, oh, let me catch up. It's a little less scheduled and a little more harried. So I've been doing more. Yes, that's great, but there's less organization than I would like at the moment. I think my mindset has changed significantly. I'm holding myself as more of a professional. Like I was a good technician before, but I feel like I'm a better business owner now. And so I'm going to keep working the business owner angle. I had a vision, like a goal that I had for this year to make my business more boutique style, high contact, that kind of thing. I believe that I am doing that now. I would like to make that even more so. I'd like to beef up my group offerings, have a couple different types of group offerings, because like I like individual clients, but like the groups, I've really fallen in love with the group dynamic this year, and I got to see that like actually happening in big ways. I'm seeing the themes and the how having multiple people in it really helps show and demonstrate how the work works across different people's lives. And when people get to see that, they don't feel as isolated.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. Rachel?
Well, I don't have numbers, so there's my first problem. But okay, sorry, I'm looking for the chat to answer the questions. What has changed for me this year is I'm organized. Like I feel like I know what I'm doing now. Like, honestly, by January it's gonna be great because I've got right tools, the right attitude. I know what to say to people. I haven't seen sales growth, but I've seen a lot of movement toward that. Like I feel like I'm in the right crowds now, and just doing more of that, making sure I invite the right people to the networking events, and take advantage of the people that I meet there. Take advantage of is not exactly how I meant it, but taking advantage of meeting other people to really connect. What do I want more or less of next year? Less networking in the wrong groups. Right. I want to have more of the right conversations and less of the other ones.
And what are
I'm
you
not looking to meet an insurance agent, or I gotta be careful with that because Carmen, I'm probably buy insurance from Carmen, but you are real estate people, or it's like not entrepreneurs so much as, or single people that work on commission and get it from their employer, but people that are more C-suite or owners. So
awesome. And Emilio, you want to close us out?
Or is he like still
I
trying
think
to calm down a cat?
yeah, cat emergency is what he said.
That's fair.
we need to hear the cat story when he gets back, though. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and take our break. And when we come back, I want to hear about your energetic shift, and if you were able to bring that juiciness of that other energy in for you. Yeah. Everybody remembers last week, right? Remember that one time? Cool. Let's go ahead and take our 10, and we'll come back at 1:10. Hello. I'm ready to get some juicy energy feedback here.
Oh yeah.
All right. Folks, another couple of seconds.
Too many things.
Yeah, there's a lot. All right, guys, are we back? Can I get a what from Nicole, Emilio, and Dallas?
I'm here.
Yay. Okay, sweet. All right. Well, the gentleman will be back shortly, I'm sure. All right. Let's talk about energy from last week. What were you able to do to bring in the kind of energy that you wanted? And did it work? What'd you try? How'd it work? What's that? Nobody tried nothing?
I always go for a walk every day, so we talked about that. But that's already an ingrained habit. I know you asked for like a list by yesterday, and I've been thinking about it. Like I just haven't had the time to really journal or put pen to paper, but it has been rattling around my brain. And I know next year I really want to work on feeling more secure, especially from a financial standpoint. And like that may not always be the reality, but I'm not sure like what the activities are to accomplish that.
Okay. And when you say more secure, what does that mean?
Just that the world's not going to fall apart tomorrow. So
Fair.
although just with the current events and everything, like it's going to be really hard to not feel that way too.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Oh, the election.
Oh shit. Yeah.
I think it's going to be, I'm assuming like everyone has similar views in this group, but like it's going to be there's going to be a lot of angst.
Yeah.
I think. I think it's like try not to like click on all the clickbait that happen, like that's going to be out there, and like try not to feed into it. But it weighs on my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Who else is considering what's going to be happening in the world and their energy for next year? Yeah, it's going to be a lot. And I don't think things get more emotionally charged than they are right now. Those of us that are devastated, and some people are not. And it's a really hard thing to get our arms around. And it's a tough time to be an American, let's face it. I thought I was embarrassed by Baby Bush. Jesus Christ. Tazima, what about you?
So I have no idea where the paper is that I wrote the things down that I wrote down. What I remember writing down was this idea of feeling more confident. Interestingly, people assume that I'm confident because I present that way. And there are several aspects that feel a little more wobbly for me. Like feeling consistently confident. And what I know and I've been getting more aligned with is that action is what helps me to feel confident. If I'm taking action on the thing that I feel anxious about, that's actually what helps versus planning. And, because I'll get caught up in the planning, which feels a little bit like action, but it's not actually action. It feels like, oh yeah, I've got this outline and I've got, this content created, but like, I'm not presenting any of it. It's just, I got so many freaking outlines and plans of things to do. I've even got recorded videos that haven't been released.
But I think that's a really important, it's just an incredibly critical point, because we can all feel busy.
Right.
It's not going to get
feeling busy. I'm pretty good at it. Also, because I've been a coach for that long, I can also say words that sound like I'm doing something, and I know I'm not doing anything. And I'm saying that specifically in this cohort so that, like, I know that y'all know that that's my fucking shtick, that I will do that shit. I'll be like, yes, and then I'm not actually.
Are you leaning into accountability?
Perhaps. Totally.
Hot.
Yeah, so I would like to step more into producible things, because I'm good at showing up for the stuff that people have paid me for already, but my business is only going to be able to grow if I'm actually promoting, actively promoting in multiple channels. Like my desire is to have have some kind of email marketing, have some kind of I want for that email marketing to be tied to the social media posts. I want the videos out there. I'm really good at fucking talking. I'm fucking amazing at talking. There are people who hate talking. I love being on a motherfucking stage. I love that shit. Just fucking do it. So, and I also recognize that there's a part of me that has been historically holding back. I have a pattern that got identified a few years ago, that is related to traumas in the past, specifically around sex and being violated and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm a sex coach. And like part of this journey is literally me being like, not telling everything that happened to me, but like using the framework of being vulnerably present, like showing the fuck up, so that, I don't have to be a bleeding heart, but I can present myself in a way that's true to, as a survivor of X, Y, and Z kinds of action, like it didn't shut me down. Because so far, it has absolutely put the brakes on. It hasn't shut me down, but it absolutely has put the brakes on promotion. Because if I say, hey, I can tell you about sex, it's related to that trauma. Because it's like, oh, you're a Black woman, so obviously you're out here fucking. You're a professional sex coach. Oh, you must have been an escort or a prostitute, which, by the way, some of my white women colleagues were escorts, literally had escort businesses. And I'm not shaming sex workers at all, but people don't assume that they were, but they assume that I was. And so I know that I have a chip on my shoulder about what's expected of me versus what's expected of colleagues. And I know more than some of my colleagues. I know that. I know I'm smarter. I know I'm a better coach. I know I have more integrity. I know, and it's not a contest. I'm just saying those words out loud. to name, like, I'm a highly skillful coach. I bring a bunch of different aspects to it. I'm not just a, I was going to say sheet jockey. I'm not the one who's going to be like, oh yeah, here's how to fuck. Like, I'm not talking about here's how to fuck. I'm talking about the social implications of women's mentality around sex that have them feel stuck inside of the bedroom. That's a very nuanced conversation. And I have the skills to navigate that space. Not everybody does.
Damn straight. What about you, Rachel?
Well, I wasn't here last week, so I don't know what I'm answering.
That's right. Amelia, what about you? I think this is that great space that you and I were talking about for sharing.
So first I have to just really acknowledge how much Tazima cracks me up when she imitates you. When you imitate yourself, Tazima, it's really funny. Like really, it's really good. And your general just self-analysis is just the way you just kind of like let it all hang out. It's just funny. It's great. But at the same time, but at the same, and at the same time, I really applaud your courage. I mean, you just got fucking courage, man. You just show up and you tell it like it is, and it's courageous. And just another 10 seconds on this really quickly. What, you never have to, you never should have to justify or explain that you're a great coach, because when you, like last week, like watching you, maneuver when Nicole and Alyssa were like really having a hard time, but like that was like expert stuff. I'm just like watching it, going, holy shit! Look at her maneuver this. It's like really cool. So all you have to do is just do that, and everyone, if people don't recognize you're a good coach, they're fucking idiots, and you shouldn't work with them anyways. But anyways, the segue here is that I've been finding more things to laugh at, and I've been, because part of my thing was, I don't laugh enough, and I used to laugh a lot, and I take shit too seriously sometimes, or I get too intense, and so George Carlin, is my favorite all-time comedian, and spending a little bit of time on YouTube with George Carlin goes a long way. But also just recognizing that I have really biting sarcasm, and go back to some of that and have fun with it. I was just succinctly, I had to see my ophthalmologist twice in the last 12 days. And last week I spoke to like the on-call resident. He's like, yeah, you definitely, are going to go see Dr. Gill Tuesday at 10. Like, but it's not in my chart. 2 days later, it's like, no, you're definitely on there. So I get there like, at 10 on Tuesday. And, I'm not on the fucking books. And so I'm sitting there for like an hour and a half waiting for them to come back and go, okay, you're not on the books, but we're going to get you in. In the meantime, I'm in the ophthalmology office waiting room at Northwestern Hospital, and I call them on the phone, and I page like the person who's supposed to come out there, and finally she comes out, and I look at her deadpan, and normally in situations like this, I blow a gasket, but I'm like, no. I didn't tell myself I was going to blow a gasket, but somehow I just kept it calm and focused and assertive, but calm. And I looked at her, I said, this is not a social visit. And so I'm trying to find, some like little bit of sarcasm here and there, and I throw that back, and it kind of goes a long way to release some, some steam for me as well. But in any event, I'm having fun, particularly with George Carlin. For those of you that have a dark side, George Carlin is great. So that's it.
Absolutely. All right. So just to kind of cap this space, I want to make sure that that we're taking. Listen, I know you're never going to use every piece of sales class, and I know that Sometimes it's going to take us 1 or 2 times to go through a topic, give you a chance to play with it, come back to it, and then you see the deeper value. You see where it's going to impact. I want to encourage you to find your space of joy, your energetic flow of joy and abundance before you come in and do the homework, and just see how that feels for you. See how that changes your relationship, possibly with the homework or with the results that you're getting. I don't think anybody has liked homework since they were in school, but y'all are in school. This is your MBA. Let's get it done. To flow quite naturally into the next module, I want to start by telling you about my skipper trip. So on Tuesday this week, I had a meeting that was set from a sales call that I was supposed to be the prospect. And as I was going through the call, I don't know if I unnerved the salesperson because he knew I was a sales coach, or if his communication was just off. But the way that he had set it up, he said, I need you to talk to my CEO. Every single pain point she is experiencing is something that you do, and I can tell that you do it really well. Please talk to her. Okay, great. So I get on the call on Tuesday, and the owner told me that, and it was for a curriculum development company. And the owner said, I'm sorry, I have the flu. I'm feeling awful. I listened to or read the notes from the call, and so we don't need to do the relationship building. I'm already brought up to speed. Okay. And so I set an agenda, and I skipped the purpose. And so about 20 minutes into the call, while I'm asking her about the financials of her business, she's like, I'm not comfortable telling you those things. Why are you even asking me these questions? And what I think happened is the salesperson set the appointment setter set the appointment, but did not give her the bridge. And I had asked him to give us a bridge between the last conversation and this one. And that's when she said, I already listened to the notes. I don't need to do any relationship building or anything. Ready to go. And it got real fucking uncomfortable. And she called it out. She's like, yeah, I'm really uncomfortable. I feel like we are on 2 different pages. And it took us about 15 minutes to get back, honestly. And when we did, she started to spark up, and we clarified, and we were, I don't know why my Fathom can't join. I'll be able to put the recording in there later, but it was really a humbling experience to realize that I allowed the prospect to derail the sales process. So even I get shaken. And the one thing that I fall back on is knowing your agendas and knowing what agenda goes where, and not being willing to deviate is more powerful than knowing you've got the agendas and only using them when you feel like they're appropriate. Making these things part of your natural conversation will take you farther, faster than any other tool in your toolkit. So I want to bring those of you that have been through this back Who can give me the three major types of agenda?
One is bridge.
Yes.
I don't know, regular? Is it the regular agenda and then a bridge agenda?
I don't think I went through this module yet.
I did,
think
and I'm
you're-
embarrassed that I have to go look.
We can't hear you, Marie. It's glitchy as AF.
Is that better?
Yes.
So there is the qualifying agenda, which is your general first. You've got your bridge. And then you have your future agenda. When you're using an agenda with a client, it's the same as a qualifying agenda. Basically, you're just using it for that particular business situation. And when your prospect feels as though they are in control of the sales process, they are much more likely to purchase. People want to buy things they don't want to be sold. Making this agenda part of simply how you do and must conduct business as part of your business brand, especially for those of you that are getting ready to scale, is going to create a consistency of experience within the company and within the suspect to prospect to client process. So I want to bring us back to this because Tazima, even with your client that you're going to call today, setting this agenda effectively is going to make all of the difference. For those of you that have been in class a while, what have been some of the benefits that you've seen from setting agendas?
Well, then there's just no question of what you're going to talk about. Yeah, and you also give them an opportunity to weigh in. So by the time you're done setting your agenda, that's what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
It establishes us as the sports terminology, sorry, as the quarterback, or as the person who is leading the meeting. So it's like, I've got an agenda. Well then, and once I ask them, is it okay to follow that? And here's what it looks like, and is it okay to follow that? And they agree to that. They then officially signed on as you're the leader of this meeting right now.
I'm going to call that a yes and, because the agenda is one, it does give you a framework, but it gives you a framework that makes them feel more in control. It is about us establishing a path, but because it is so permission based and nurturing, and we're telling them that they can say no, we're telling them that they are in control. They are not going to be sold if this is not a fit. It actually makes them feel more in control, and it puts you on the same playing level, no matter what the size of your business is, right? I can say no to you too. For those of us that struggle with imposter syndrome, for those of us that feel like we're punching above our weight right now to get bigger things to happen, there is no reason you should ever feel like you are not at the same level as a prospect, because then you're establishing how the relationship is going to go. And this is really, guys, this is the concept of training your clients on how to treat you, right? This is giving them that framework of, we're on the same page here. I am not going to be the coach that you blame everything on. I'm not going to be the photog that you whip when you want more images. I am not going to edit 300 of your videos because you think it should happen because I'm not a big company like the other guys. We're on the same level. And that's it. When we are establishing this agenda, it is the agreement between the two parties that really creates that parity of power. Knowing what's going to happen next makes them feel safer. It helps the salesperson head off last minute surprises in the negotiation process. And the prospect doesn't feel pressured to do any damn thing they haven't agreed to in advance, like making a decision to continue the process or even buying. So as we're looking at this, there are some critical components that some of it we're going to examine later, but it's absolutely necessary to understand why a salesperson makes such a strong agenda as a primary step in the decision-making process, as well as in interactions with all prospects and clients. So as we go through this, there's going to be 6 keys that I'm really looking for as you come into mastery. First one is understanding the different types of agendas. Then it's understanding the elements. We got to nail down which agenda to use and when to use it. Know what the prospects, know what to do when the prospect resists, and knowing what to do when our prospect tries to change an agenda that we've previously agreed to. I'm going to make sure that that's in your chat and your notes, because these are the things that I'm going to be looking for as we go through this module. Because guys, it is time to own this. If you have been agenda resistant, this is the space where I would love for you to be like, you know what, Marie, fuck it. You've told me so many things in the past that have worked, and I have been surprised every damn time. You can yell at me on mute all you want. When we're looking at those different types of agenda, I want to break down for us today just the different kinds, and when we're going to get into when we should be using them in the next module. So when we're looking at that qualifying agenda, this is the one that is used at the beginning of a sales process, the beginning of a networking process, the beginning of a strategic partner process, whatever it is, to establish that method of conduct. And both people agree to follow this throughout the discovery and the steps beyond. We're on equal footing. It becomes the control element to keep those interactions really focused on the appropriate topics in action. So if the prospect tries to move the conversation into uncharted territory, you can steer it back on course by reviewing the agenda and simply giving it a, as I recall, we agreed to, or, I'm sorry, I like where you're going, but I'm afraid we're not going to have enough time. Are you okay if we continue to go in this direction for right now? Especially for those of us that are coming into clients and prospects that are either going to verbally vomit all over you because feelings hard, that are going to, my God, guys, those that have used other vendors and been burned, it's going to keep you out of that bitch fest. You can get a little bit of that detail and discovery, but you are not any other organization. You did not burn them, blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't want to be in that lump. And if this is not in place, the impacts on your business are going to be longer sales cycles, inappropriate clients, negotiations up the ass, ghosts all over your pipeline. This is the golden key to where it is we want to be. When we're looking at that bridge agenda, and this is kind of where, like, again, this is where I got thrown off. This is really a mini agenda that allows the salesperson and the prospect to move from step to step in the selling process. Whenever you're building, like if you've got to meet with another decision maker, if you've got to have another meeting with that individual, this is going to keep us on track and allow us to flush out any hidden agendas that the prospect may be keeping in their back pocket, right? And then the future agenda is, this is what you want to use when you think the sale is in the bag, when you're at that close, because it's going to keep things from falling apart posthumously. The future agenda really establishes that clear understanding of exactly what's going to happen next in the sales process, whether it involves the final presentation, signing an agreement, getting the cash, whatever it is. No confusion about the future actions, no surprises about expectations, no 11th hour changes. It's our best shot at controlling the post-close process. And then when you get into, like, you know, that sub-level business agenda, that it just makes sure that every step of the way, each party knows what it's going to take to keep the relationship moving forward smoothly. So I want to talk about those qualifying agendas and how they can be used, because you do have the ability to even use these in cold calls, discovery calls, whatever it might be. If we're going into a suspect call, and I want to make sure too that I just note very clearly the difference between a suspect and a prospect, especially when you guys are journaling, right? If you walk into a networking event and you find 12 people that you suspect could be potential clients, but you don't know if they're in a buying process, if they have a need, if they're financially qualified, you haven't gotten there yet. You simply suspect this person could do business with you. When they become a prospect is when they have given you a buying signal, right? There's something there that you can act on. Not everybody is your client, right? And if you go to an event and you find those 12 people and you can only follow up with 6 of them, it's going to help your numbers stay a little more solid and maybe show you where you've got some of those chinks in the armor, right? We would all love to think, I follow up with every person that could potentially be a lead, but we don't. We try, but we don't. As you're going through your journal, understanding where those people are and what it takes to actually turn them into a contact when they respond to you and get them into that first meeting, those are critical metrics, guys. Move them from suspect to prospect, or that first appointment. And make sure that you know how many people you're getting on the phone with that are actually qualified prospects. Otherwise, stop doing the fucking thing that you're doing to get a bunch of suspects that don't care, right? Really valuable feedback. This is, guys, this is a practice. You're going to have to run through these scripts over and over and over again. When y'all are meeting one-on-one, please set agendas with each other. When you call me, I might start doing kamikaze agenda setting. That doesn't mean you can't call me. You call me. But the more often you get these words out of your mouth, the easier and the more succinct it's going to be. So I want to go through just an example of an agenda and of a qualifying agenda and how it can be used even in cold calling. And then I want to go into that bridge agenda because I know that's going to help Tazima today. So just like, let's start off with the steps. The first step of an agenda is asking permission to set the agenda. And this is critical, guys. This is where we start establishing that they can say yes to us, and they should, that we start getting them saying yes. And if the words don't come out of their mouth, they do not own it. You do not have their buy-in. They have to commit. So we ask for permission, and then we state the purpose. Skip or trip. From what my understanding is, the reason that we're getting together today is XYZ. Is that the same for you? And then we want to move into what the prospect can expect from you during the meeting and what you are experiencing or expecting from the client during the meeting. Then we move into what is the intended outcome of this meeting and how both parties will contribute to determining it. And then we go into that, just that beautiful final closing question. So what does it sound like when it's not bullet pointed? So I'm by the way, these are going to be in your notes in the portal too. Nicole, I'm going to role play on you real quick. You ready? Because you're the only one with your mic off. All right. So Nicole, listen, I know that we have a ton to talk about. Is it okay if I just set a little agenda for where we want to go today?
Sure.
Perfect. So my understanding is that we got together today to talk about your marketing organization and how we can help amplify your efforts through systemization and that kind of thing. And honestly, I really have a ton of questions. I want to know so much more about, what the problem is and how we got here and what the impacts are. And some of the questions might be a little difficult or questions you haven't heard before in the sales process, but I really want to make sure that I understand the whole picture. So is it okay with you if I ask some of those deeper questions?
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. What do you want to make sure you get out of our meeting today?
I want to find out more about your services and whether it makes sense for us to work together.
That sounds like a good plan to me. And just to make sure we know where we want to end up, at the end of the conversation, listen, if it's a great fit and it makes sense for us to take the next steps together, of course we can do that. But I also want you to know that if at any point it doesn't feel like a good fit on either side of the table, it's okay to say so. Does that feel like a good fit for you?
Yes.
Perfect. What was that? I think we were at like a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. If we flip that for Emilio's cold calling script, right? So we get the prospect on the phone and we say, Kevin, thank you so much for answering. Listen, I know you don't know me, but can I just 30 seconds and tell you a little bit about why I'm calling, and we can see if it'll be a good fit to move forward together. Great, I'll give you 30 seconds. Perfect. My name's Emilio. I'm a photographer. I work in a up. I'm really looking to add to my corporate portfolio, and I was looking at your organization, and I love the organization, but I'd love to talk about your headshots. Does it make sense for us to continue this conversation? Yes or no? No? Okay, great. I get it. Thank you so much. I'm going to make sure that I follow up via email. Can I follow up with you later this year? Ask for that next step, right? And then as we get into the yes, perfect. So I told you that I do photography. I did a review of your site. If we can just take 10 minutes, I would love to share some insights about where I think you could level up the engagement of your photography and really ask you a few questions about what the goal has been with the imagery that you're creating and how that fits into your marketing strategy. Is that okay with you? And I want to make sure that if if it makes sense for us to schedule another call, we can go ahead and do that. You don't really want to ask for their expectations here, but if it makes sense for us to schedule more time, let's go ahead and do that. But I also want you to know, if it doesn't feel like a good fit, tell me no, I'll buzz off and I'll say nice things about you on LinkedIn. But that's it. You're done. Give it to them. Make sure they know the time. Make sure they know they're wrapped up. Make sure they know you're not going to pressure them. And that you're there because there's a reason. Also, don't tell them that their photography is absolute shit in the first 10 minutes. The bridge agenda, which, Tazima, this is going to be a powerful piece for you. This is where you can recap and bring forward next steps, especially when there are different parties that are involved, or it's a one meeting to the next. This is a space where you can really determine the next steps of a call. So, hang on, let me see if I can, bring this forward for Tazima. So the steps are summarizing the compelling issues that you've previously discussed, verify that you both agree on the importance of each compelling issue so far, and we only move to the next step when both the salesperson and the prospect agree. So if they need to change that or modify, give them space. We want to use transitional phrases or questions that allow the prospect to refocus and then move on to the next step. And this can be done in a few different ways. You can ask open-ended questions, highlighting the new subject, ask up front if you can talk about that new subject, or ask for help covering that subject. So if I were to Tazimify, right, it would be, hey, Karen, listen, I wanted to reach out to you real quick. I know it's a surprise call, but there were a couple of things that I wanted to make sure that we aligned on. Do you have 15 minutes that we can grab? No? 5? Can we do 5? Perfect. So, I really wanted to just kind of bring us back because, when we started, you had told us that he don't love you, he don't give you any, and he's mean as a snake. And these were things that were really hurtful for you. We've been working on some of these pieces, but I want to make sure, is this still what you're feeling after we've done some of this work? Has anything shifted for you? Let me ask you a couple of questions. When it comes to, when we discussed X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. And I'm talking about like issues during the calls. Tell me how that's going for you. What kind of feedback are you getting? I want to know more because I really want to make sure that we are creating a path that is secure for both of you. But I want to make sure that I'm doing everything in my power to help create success here. Does it make sense for us to put a little bit of time into this? Great. This gives you the ability to clearly show them that you have been listening. You know what the compelling reasons are. You bring them back into it and set that structure again, and you move them forward. There is no reason to have have 2, 3, 4 discovery meetings without recapping what the other people have said. And if that was said in a situation that the other person wasn't in, this allows them to know that you don't have to go back over these things, shorten your sales cycle. And these are things that other people are feeling, right? And then you can move into it. Guys, these pieces are simply the foundation of your sales process now. And you are an at-revenue sales expert. So I am looking forward to hearing some really good agendas. So here is my ask for you. Over the next week or so, take some time to, even if you're practicing it with your family, practice some agendas. If you've got to have a tough conversation with mom over Christmas dinner, set that agenda. Right? Who the hell wants to fight without a result anymore? Get it out there and start debriefing the impacts. I'm going to add a worksheet to the portal after this to make sure that you've got all the steps. And Nicole, if we need to find time to go through this a little bit more, we can, but there's going to be additional modules in here. And I really want to hear not only the agendas that you set, but what impact you saw. Okay, so let's go into Sales Class Sparks. What shifted for you today?
I haven't been in all the like detail of the module, but I know that's like a big thing that you teach us. So I've already been implementing setting agendas as much as I can. I like it. I am always the person who's going to question whether a meeting is actually needed. And I think like part of the reason why Rebecca, you're laughing, like I also think like part of the reason why people in offices are so burnt out is because there's too many meetings and they're inefficient. And like usually with the sales call, I wouldn't do this, but I actually try to send agendas to my clients ahead of time so that if there's anything they want to add, we can, like if they need to bring anything, they have a heads up, and it just focuses people on the matters at hand instead of allowing people to go off like cats. And then pretty soon the meeting's off the rails and everybody's wasted their time.
And do you verbalize those during the meeting as well?
Yes.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Who else has a spark for the day?
I would say the getting the only proceeding after the agreement, and really pulling the person who's on the other end of this agenda into the agenda setting. So historically, I've asked them, hey, what do you want to get out of this? But like really making sure, especially for this bridge situation that I'm going to be having in a little while, to really just get into the, okay, here's what we're actually going to be talking about. Let me get that aspect handled, make them get their buy-in. Like that's what it's really landing for me. Get their buy-in, have it be a participation, consent, and mutuality situation, more so than me saying, here's how it's going to be. It's like, no, you're participating with me in this.
Yes. Collaboration, not monologues. Love it. Anybody else? No spark?
Yeah. Yeah. The big takeaway was, I have this escape valve, I'll call it, where, if this doesn't make sense at any point, we just get off the phone on the cold call, on the cold call script per se. I had it, and at that point, if it makes sense, if it makes sense for us to continue, I allow them to make the decision. But I never had that in the a face-to-face agenda, it makes a lot of sense because then their guards even down even more on that face-to-face agenda, and so that's my big takeaway. Thank you.
Awesome. So guys, as we go into this last week or so, we all know things are going to get nuts. So before we get there, do we have 5 weeks in December? No, we don't. I just want to check in. Do you guys want to do class next week, or do we want to take that as a down day? Oh, everybody left.
Kind of feels academic at this point.
So for me, I will be on next Thursday. I'm at Universal.
Okay.
We'll be at Universal all day long.
Does it make sense for you know what? I'm going to send out an email because I realize I'm just down to you two lovely gentlemen. But I may just set a space for intention and energy love for those that want to check in. So I will follow up with that stuff. I love y'all. Have a wonderful holiday. Enjoy your family. Please get refilled. I know Tazima's going to get filled.
Oh, damn.
Happy holidays, kids. See ya.
Isn't that the Christmas spirit? Yay!
Happy holidays. See you. Bye.
Bye, guys.